Oh boy, so I'm having some technical difficulties. The stream's going to be a little different today, so most of the people I want to see this stream will not be able to see it right now because I wanted to make sure it was going out to Facebook. So the stream today is going to be a little different, and let me explain why. This stream is directed to a very small group of people, and those are people from my home county of Clarion County. Here's what's going on. So I don't like to use Facebook very often. I have it. Normally, my streams automatically go through Facebook. For some reason, Restream's not working the past couple days. It won't send it through Facebook. I have no idea why that's the case, and it's a shame because I promised people that I would be broadcasting this on Facebook. So I guess my options now are to put this up later. Here's the story with Clarion County and why I wanted to do this video. Sometimes I get on Facebook. I have a lot of friends from both the left and the right. Oftentimes they're talking about politics. It frustrates the crap out of me normally because it brings out the worst in people. But it is what it is. So just to let my normal audience know that maybe it's not from Clarion County, here's the specific story we're going to be talking about. We have a lot of rural Pennsylvania. We have a lot of county fairs here. And kids, particularly, they raise animals all year, sell them at the fair. They get ribbons. There's, all sorts of things that you would expect at a rural fair like this. Livestock, baked goods, people selling things. A lot of people depend on it for their livelihood, such as if you're a food vendor or something like that, you go to these fairs. Well, most of the fairs in rural Pennsylvania were canceled this year, but my county's hometown fair, Clarion County, decided they were going to keep running it despite COVID. And so this occurred last week. There were pictures taken from the Demolition Derby, which is the big thing at the fair, with basically, I don't know, I'm estimating here 1,000 people maybe that were sitting in the stands, most of which weren't wearing masks. And so I see this debate that's going on through all sorts of people on Facebook all over the place, not just Facebook, also local news sources, where people are discussing how appalled they are to see all these people sitting there without masks and things like that. So what I want to, hey, what's up, Zoranik? Great to see you. So what I want to do is address that community. If you're not from Clarion County, this might not seem interesting to you, but I still think it is worthwhile because I feel these discussions are happening all around the country. So let me first, so now I'm speaking the rest of this, I'm going to be speaking to the people I know on Facebook, my friends and family from around Clarion County, or if you grew up in Clarion County and now you've moved away, this is who I'm speaking to. Let me start before I say anything with this caveat. I love disagreeing with people. I love debate. That's who I am. I have friends that run the gambit of extreme left to extreme right. I do. I have friends that support Antifa. I have friends that thought Obama was a Muslim that shouldn't have been president. And everywhere in between. It is what it is. Most of the people that I extremely disagree with, I don't talk politics much with. But it is what it is. And on Facebook, there's really no filter. People are saying what they want. I assume there's a bunch of people, particularly my left-wing friends on Facebook, that see my videos posted and can't stand them. It is what it is. I'm still friends with those people. Now, let me say, I'm going to be harsh on a large group of people here today. But I just want to say this to get it out of the way. This doesn't mean I'm not your friend. It doesn't mean that I wish ill on you in any way whatsoever. I don't. It doesn't mean that the next time I see you out and about, I'm not going to have a beer with you or have dinner with you or talk to you. It doesn't mean any of that. And I would welcome talking to any of you in person or on this stream where you could say your piece and say why I'm wrong. And let me also say that I am not the end-all be-all. These are just my opinions. I think that I do a decent job and I have a good track record of being correct on a lot of things, but maybe I'm wrong about some of these things and you would like to point that out. That's totally fine too. And I also want to say this, just to start. There are two groups of people that you basically have here. One is the group of people that feel that this virus is being politicized, which I am on this side. And so they're tired of things like mask mandates, social distancing mandates that are only selectively enforced on some of us, while others that the people enforcing them on, like Tom Wolf in our state of Pennsylvania, he can violate his own orders, or people that he supports, like Black Lives Matter, are allowed to violate his own orders, no problem. And again, we see this occurring nationally. So there's those of us that are tired of the hypocritical way in which these orders are being applied, and that people are saying, well, this group of people is moral or this group of people is immoral, when they're both engaged in the same practice of not following the social distance orders. I'm sick and tired of it. And a lot of people are in that camp. And the other camp is the camp, and I'm going to put this as generously as possible, that seems to believe that masks are effective, that social distancing is effective, and that people are disregarding human life by refusing to obey those orders and going out in public in gatherings and not wearing masks. Those are the two sides of the debate. Let me just say that I think both people on both sides of those debate that are resorting to childish insults, I don't care, do what you want on Facebook. Some of them are funny, but it's not really productive. You're not going to change anyone's mind. And I'm certainly not going to sit here and say, make childish insults to people. I will insult you. But, so certainly there are people behaving childishly on both sides. Just want to say that. Okay? All right. With all of that out of the way, let's get into talking about this, okay? So what I first saw was a good friend of mine who's one of my best friends, and I'll try to not use any names, posted on Facebook, and it ended up getting a lot of response from other people I know on the left or the right, or pro-mask or anti-mask, however you want to break it down. And my friend was lamenting kind of the stupidity of Clarion County and the people that would go to an event like that and how that was going to put us all at risk. So that's where I entered this foray, and I saw the pictures that were posted, and then I saw the back and forth that's going back both ways. And again, many of these people I personally know. And I'm telling you, you might not think this, in particular if you're one of the people watching that's from my hometown and knows me and knows some of the people I'm talking about that were involved in these threads. I assure you, some of the people that disagree with you on both sides are some of the greatest people you'll ever meet. So I'm not sitting here judging, saying, you're a terrible person if you disagree with me. That's not what I'm saying. But there's a lot of things that come to my mind when I see what's going on here. So let me say that when it comes to masks specifically, I work in the healthcare field. When I'm at work, 100% of the time, I'm wearing a mask. That's because I work with someone with comorbidities, and my job asks me to do that. And if I don't like that infringement on my rights, then I'll quit my job. If I walk into a place of business and that place of business asks me to put a mask on, then I will put the mask on or I will politely leave. I'm not going to yell and scream at the business owner. It's their business. It's their right. That's how I truly believe. Now, am I wearing a mask all the time when I'm not at work? No. But again, if I'm asked to put one on, I will. So that's where I'm coming from. I also want to make a point, and I'll get to this later. You can go back and check my history in my channel. I said in mid-March, when the CDC and Dr. Fauci and the World Health Organization were telling us, no, don't go out and buy masks. I said, as plain as day, that the claim that a virus that travels through spittle and through stuff coming out of your mouth, to claim that a mask couldn't possibly help, was something so stupid only an expert could say. And I, apparently, according to the experts now, was right. Because they admit, yeah, sorry, we had to mislead you. Sorry, we lied to you. So, by no means, don't think that, Rob's just this anti-masker. That's not who I am. That's not it at all. Now, the first thing I want to do is break down to someone who vehemently believes that these masks are important, and that anyone's selfish that's not wearing them. I want to break down what we see happening, particularly in Pennsylvania, but across the country, so hopefully you can understand why people that are skeptical of things like these mask policies and social distancing policies, where that skepticism comes from. Now, number one is, we were told, as I just told you, we were told originally that masks don't work. So my question is, for all of you that are on Facebook or wherever else, and you're saying, believe science. Oh, you're some Facebook doctor. You're smarter than the scientists. Is that what you were saying in March? When Dr. Fauci and the Surgeon General and the CDC were telling you not to wear masks, they don't help. Were you making fun of people on Facebook that said, hey, I'm wearing a mask? Is that what you were doing? Oh, no, you weren't, were you? Isn't that strange? Huh? Are you on there right now criticizing the Democratic Party and the teachers' unions because the director of the CDC came out and said that it is more damaging to the health of our children, K through 12, to be out of school than to be in school? Where are all of you? Where are all the Facebook champions, the Facebook warriors that want a virtue signal about, you're so damning if you're not wearing a mask. You're going to cause death and destruction. How dare you? You're selfish and immoral. Where are you when it comes to criticizing the teachers union? Where were you with Black Lives Matter? Where were you criticizing them for violating social distance orders? I didn't see you. Isn't that weird? It's almost like You're less concerned about containing the disease and more concerned with getting on and showing that you can virtue signal with the best of them. Good for you. You did it. Now, let me proceed saying still, that doesn't mean that the criticisms couldn't be warranted. Fair, right? And there could theoretically be people out there. My stance on this from the beginning has been this. I just don't want you to be a hypocrite. If your claim is, yeah, I think people trying to go to a concert or trying to go to a Trump rally or trying to go to a county fair are terrible people because they're trying to spread the disease or because they could potentially spread the disease, and I think Black Lives Matter and the people that are protesting on the other side are doing the same and they're also terrible, that's fine. At least that's a consistent position. I take the opposite of that position. I don't care. As long as they're not rioting, if you want to go out with 500,000 people and protest for Black Lives Matter, more power to you. If you want to go to a county fair, more power to you. But at least those two positions are consistent. You either say all the crowds are good or none of the crowds are good. What you don't do is selectively be outraged when someone who politically aligns with you does something. You say, well, that's perfectly fine. They could violate the orders. But when someone you don't politically align with does something, you say, I'm outraged. They're spreading the disease. That's hypocrisy. And I'm not saying you're a bad person and I won't be friends with you, but if that's what you're doing, you need to ask yourself, what was it in you that made you say, hey, it's good for me to post this one thing on Facebook, but not the other? Could it be that you're more concerned with your perception and your image, and you think that this is the cool, hip, liberal thing to do? Just a question. So that's the first thing, that we had the doctors give us differing things. They've changed their opinions several times. The second thing is that we've seen the doctors and the Democratic politicians and even some Republican ones that are saying that we have to have these lockdowns or we have to wear masks. We've seen them engage in complete hypocrisy in the way that I'm just talking there. So, for example, we had over 1,000 CDC officials sign a statement saying, oh, COVID might kill millions of us, so you can't go to work or you can't go to church or whatever their recommendations are. Your livelihood has to be ruined. You can't go to your grandparents' funeral. But more of a threat to us than COVID is white supremacy. So it's okay to go out by the hundreds of thousands and protest for the death of George Floyd. They're liars. And I saw all through that thread people saying, the science is in. It proved that actually the protests didn't spread the virus. That's a lie. It's a lie. First off, there's all kinds of reasons. How are they going to prove that anywhere spread the virus? The way they do it's through contact tracers, where they call people and they say, you got the virus. Where were you? And then they say, oh, we had a bunch of people that were connected to, they were all at this concert. Therefore, many of them must have got the virus at this concert. But we know in places like New York, the contact tracers were specifically told not to ask if people were at the protest. So yeah, if you're not allowed to ask if people were at protest, shock of all shocks. Oh, it turns out now that the data is saying the protests didn't spread the virus. Yet strangely, we see the virus spreading in places like California, super liberal. If it's all these stupid Trump supporters that are spreading it, why did it occur there? And why was it about 10 to 14 days after all of the protests started? Just a coincidence, I'm sure, right? If you truly believe that this virus is so intelligent that it only affects Trump supporters or conservatives, and you believe the scientists when they say that, you need to really examine your life. It's absolute garbage. We have leaders like Tom Wolf that are telling us, you have to stay indoors. He called us cowards. Check out my video I did in this. There's like 7,000 views on it. Tom Wolf called us cowards. If you're upset because you can't pay your mortgage or you can't feed your family and you lost your job and you don't know what you're going to do with the rest of your life, or maybe you started a small business and now you may never open up again. For 20 years, maybe you worked on that business and now it's done through no fault of your own. If you're concerned about that, Tom Wolf called you a coward, and Tom Wolf's our governor. And then he immediately violated his own order and went and marched with Black Lives Matter and took a nice photo up with people holding a sign that said Blue Lives Murder. Good stuff. Good stuff, Tom Wolf. So when Tom Wolf says, oh, no, now you have to trust us. Tom Wolf, by the way, and his health secretary Levine, they also, over 70% at one point of the deaths in Pennsylvania were from nursing homes. Tom Wolf, along with Cuomo, along with Murphy, along with Whitmer and all these other Democratic governors, they intentionally put COVID-positive patients into nursing homes with the most vulnerable populations. That's what they did. And so now you're telling me I have to listen to them about medical advice. I'd rather listen to the drunk that's sitting at the bar every day than I would someone who was so stupid they didn't know, oh, if these people in nursing homes are the most vulnerable populations, what can we do to help save them? I know, we'll lock them in with COVID positive patients. I'm sorry, that's the last person I'm going to take medical advice from. And when we have the premier medical person, Dr. Fauci, looking at New York that did that and saying, yes, New York's the model, that's what we should all be following. New York, which is the second highest per capita death toll from COVID, and the experts telling us we should have all did what that state did? It's clear hypocrisy. I told you before this virus, long before it, that the establishment, particularly the Democratic Party, would try to collapse the economy because they will do anything to get power. And the more they make your life a living hell, the better they think their chances of blaming it on Trump is through their media and through their academia and then winning an election. And now to see so many people I personally know online that are buying this hook, line, and sinker. Oh, no. It was okay for me to go to the Black Lives Matter protest. It was okay for us to stand 50 to 100 shoulder to shoulder singing and chanting. That was perfectly fine because it was for a good cause. But don't you dare go to your grandma's funeral. That's worthless. Who gives a shit about that? How callous and cold and stupid do you have to be to believe that? And yet, the same people that believe that are so arrogant that they're shoving it in anyone else's face. How dare you go out? You're endangering public health. What about you? Didn't you go endanger public health? Oh, that was different. It was for a good cause. That's why people don't believe this. I've said it on this channel over and over and over again. Look, it's easy to be Monday morning quarterback, right? It's easy to say, oh, you should have did this or you should have done that. I told you right out of the gate, I got heat from so many Trump supporters and conservatives because Trump came out and was supporting people like Gavin Newsom and was supporting people like Cuomo that were doing lockdowns. And I said, this is a disaster. It's not that I'm unwilling to accept a lockdown. It's that we should not be asked to infringe on our rights from the government unless they clearly and transparently explain exactly why they need to take our rights away, exactly how taking those rights away would help the country, and how long that would be necessary to take those rights away. And they didn't do that. And I said, therefore, this is no different than the Patriot Act. Oh, terrorists are going to kill us all, so we need to violate your rights. I'm sorry. No, I don't buy that. Oh. Let me adjust my mic for a second. There, hopefully that's better. A little quieter. Hopefully that's better. So anyway, let me know if the audio is any better. So, and the last thing I'll say about this portion of it is this. Picture this. We had H1N1, right, under Obama. At that point in 2013, I believe we had a Republican governor, Tom Corbett, in Pennsylvania. Imagine that this occurred, right? Just put your reimagining cap on here for a second. And imagine that the Republican governor of Pennsylvania came out and said, listen, H1N1 is going to be really bad. It's going to affect the elderly. It could spread. And there were predictions that it could spread to kill millions of Americans. Thanks, Vinny. Appreciate it. Yeah, is the game better now? Hopefully, it looks like it should be better on my screen. But that was the prediction. That it could kill all these people. So imagine that a Republican governor would have came out and said, so here's the deal. Sorry, we're going to have to shut down non-essential businesses. You're going to have to wear a mask everywhere you go. We're going to have to limit the amount of people that could be in stores. We're going to have to limit whether or not you could attend church services, funerals, weddings, and things like that. We're going to have to limit large gatherings, political rallies, and things like that. Oh, except for the Tea Party. The Tea Party, look, the Tea Party is doing something that's very moral. They're against government waste and the corruption and the spending that goes with all of the taxation that comes in with government, and that's such an important cause. It's cool. You can go out with the Tea Party and protest all you want. No problem. In fact, I'll go out with them. I'll violate my own orders, but it's cool because I'm with them. But no, if you're on the left and you dislike the Tea Party, no. You're not allowed out. You have to stay indoors. How would you have felt? Would you on the left that are right now screaming about, oh, you have to believe the lockdowns, you have to believe the would you have said, well, that's science, that's reasonable. It would be selfish of me to not call out this hypocrisy and to not believe them. It must be true that the virus can't spread through the Tea Party. It must be true. Is that what you would have said on the left? It's quieter, but still messed up. Well, there's nothing I'll just have to deal with it later. There's nothing I can do right now. So, apologies. Is that what you have said? That's exactly what's going on with us. We have a governor that called us cowards if we were upset about losing our job, if we were upset about losing our small businesses, if we were upset because we couldn't go to our parents' funeral. We were called cowards by our governor, who then just 2 short weeks later says, oh, by the way, I'm going to go out and do what I want and break my own social distancing orders. So how do you expect? I said from the get-go, even if the governor or the president would do a policy I didn't agree with, if they were honest and they were transparent and they applied it equally across themselves and everyone else, then I could live with that decision. But what I can't accept is our ruling class saying, here are the rules for you. You have to make sacrifices. Oh, but not us and the people that support us. We can do whatever we want. That's how you know they're not serious. When we were told the first, $2.1 trillion package, again, I got the stimulus package. I got heat from Republicans for this. I said, this is a grotesque amount. We don't have $2 trillion. And I said, mark my words, this is just going to be wealth transfer. It's not going to get, the money's not going to get into the hands of the people that need it most. And that's exactly what happened. And I got heat from Republicans. Oh, we got to do something. We got to do something. Yeah, well, there you go. The Lakers got money. Shake Shack got money. Planned Parenthood got money. Many of the small businesses I know, they weren't able to get the money. Oh, well. That's what I said was going to happen. And I said then, if they're taking this seriously, why would they be even recommending that money went to Planned Parenthood or to museums and art centers? Why would the Democrats' proposal have all sorts of stuff about reparations and making poor people sure that people of certain colors were on boards of companies that got the money and things like that? What does that have to do with saving us from this virus? What does that have to do with helping people that are economically devastated? Nothing. That's how you knew they weren't taking it serious. So when the doctors and the experts have been wrong so many times and flip-flopped and then even had to admit that they had to mislead us, when they've selectively and politically enforced rules, and even the experts have said stupid things like, the virus, it's a threat. Millions could die, but that's not as big of a threat as the death of George Floyd and white supremacy. That's why we don't believe them. Now, I'm saying that as someone who majoritarily wears the mask. But I understand the people that don't. I wasn't at the Clarion County Fair, but I understand the people that were. And you wouldn't accept it on the left. You would not accept it if it was the other way around. If it was a Republican governor telling you, you have to stay indoors, you have to close up your business, you can't go to events you want, but the other people, the other political side, feel free. They can do what they want. You wouldn't accept it. And you know that's the truth. So that's where this comes from why people are distrusting of this. And again, I bring out, where were all these Facebook warriors when the CDC was saying, oh, masks don't help, masks can't help, don't worry about going out and getting a mask? I was criticizing them. I was criticizing the CDC for saying that. Where were they? Strangely silent. They only speak up when it's politically popular to do so. Isn't that weird? Huh. But trust us, they're morally superior to you. Now, there's other things that were going on this thread that are worth talking about. One of the excuses you get is, well, here's the deal. No, let me back up. I'll criticize people. I certainly do. But my stance on life is basically this. You do what's best for yourself. And I'm someone who believes you could go out and until you're consciously or predictably harming other people, you should be allowed to basically do what you want within the confines of the rules. That's why I'm for legalization of marijuana. It's not in the Constitution. You want to choose to put something in your body that could have adverse effects? So be it. Do it. I don't care. Now, if you're under the influence of marijuana and you harm someone else, then yes, you should be punished. Right? That's what I believe. In this case, people will say, yes, but you're predictably harming others by going out to this fair and not wearing a mask. One, the same would be true if you attended a Black Lives Matter vigil or protest then. So you were literally, if you attended that protest or you supported that protest, you're literally guilty of the exact same thing that you're accusing others of. So every criticism you're making about how the other side's anti-science and they're immoral, terrible people, you would believe about yourself and believe about the people that you supported that did the Black Lives Matter protest. There's no way around it at all. Now, the argument that people give is, yes, but the cause of Black Lives Matter is so much more important than attending a county fair. Says who? That is a subjective opinion. I happen to share the subjective opinion that couldn't be further from the truth. I feel that Black Lives Matter is a Marxist terrorist organization that's hell-bent on destroying this country. And not only that, not only would it be bad for the entire country, but the policies that are endorsed by Black Lives Matter, such as defunding the police, disbarring or disrupting the nuclear family, would directly and disproportionately impact the exact same inner-city black communities that people are claiming to support. I think that if you're supporting organizations that are burning down inner city predominantly black communities, that you might want to question whether or not that's really you supporting those inner city black communities. Now, you might disagree with me. You might say, now, Rob, wait, I disagree. I think Black Lives Matter is good. Okay. This is why we should say we have orders, but I think we should be allowed to break those orders as long as I feel it's for a worthy cause. Because not everyone feels what you feel. I think that going to the bar and getting hammered is a more worthwhile exercise than supporting a Marxist terrorist organization like Black Lives Matter. So if you went to a Black Lives Matter vigil, like, let's look at a scale of helpfulness to harmfulness. A 0 is an event that doesn't help or harm anyone. I went out and got chicken wings. That would be a 0. I went out and gathered with people to clean up the community and, hand food out to poor people. That's getting up to like 8, 9. Very important to help your community. Attending Black Lives Matter rally? That's like a negative 8. You're supporting terrorists that want to destroy this country and make lives worse for black people. That's what I believe. So when you say, going to a fair, that doesn't do any good, that's selfish to want to go there. Yeah, you actually did something worse than just wanting to go out for entertainment. You attended a rally for people that want to destroy this country. But that's not why I was there. I was just supporting Black Lives. So maybe there were a bunch of people that attended the county fair, and it was a protest to the fact that we have a political agenda regarding COVID that I just discussed, where we see it being applied hypocritically by our governor. Maybe that's what the protest was for. I think speaking out against tyranny is way more important than endorsing Black Lives Matter. So maybe that's what a lot of people are doing at the fair. Or how about this? Let's take politics out of it. Maybe some people went to the fair because they're broke, because they're food vendors, and all of the fairs have been canceled, and this was their one chance to make enough money to pay the bills this month. Maybe that's why they went. I think that's a damn sight more important than attending a Black Lives Matter protest. Or maybe they went because they're a kid who's been raising a cow all year, because every year they watch their family take livestock to the fair and get ribbons, and that's a symbol of their pride and their hard work. I think that that's way more important than you attending a Black Lives Matter protest. Now, you might disagree. Again, this is the problem when you say, no, here's rules, but you're allowed to break the rules as long as I agree with you politically, and I think that it's an important cause. It's ridiculous. That's why I default to the rules should be the same for everyone, regardless if I appreciate their protest or if I appreciate their gathering and the reason behind it or not. Which is why I say, I just told you I think Black Lives Matter is a domestic terrorist Marxist organization. They have every right to be out there protesting. Once they start rioting, that's different. They have every right. Even though I hate the organization, they have every right to be out there, just like the people have the right to be at the Clarion County Fair. If you say, no, I think that one's important and the other's not, therefore it's okay to risk going out and spreading the virus in one situation, but not in the other, you're a hypocrite. It doesn't matter what your cause is. And I had this discussion for months. I've been having this discussion with people. Is white supremacy systemic? Yep. Has it been going on for decades? Yep. Okay, so why do we need to protest for it by the hundreds of thousands while a virus is supposedly going to spread and kill us all? We couldn't wait until the virus was done and then go protest? Why weren't we protesting before? It's just right now is the crucial time. The exact time we're telling other people this virus is such a threat, you can't even go to work. You can't even go to your family member's funeral. At the exact same time we're saying that to people, this happens to be the exact time that hundreds of thousands of us need to go out, violate those orders, and protest about white supremacy. Isn't that a coincidence? months must these protests go on? No one will say it. Tom Wolf won't say it. Fauci wouldn't say it the other day. Fauci made it clear. He tried to wiggle around, but what did he say? I would not go to to crowds, places where a lot of people are gathering, because they can spread the virus. Now, Jim Jordan tried to nail him down and was like, so these protests. Oh, I'm not going to say the government should stop them. Okay, but there's your man Fauci. It just said, did you go to a crowd? Did you go to the Black Lives Matter vigil in Clarion? Guess what? Dr. Fauci said that helped spread the disease. So, you are willing to potentially spread every criticism you make, every single one. Well, my grandmother could theoretically be in the grocery store with you, and because you went to the Clarion County Fair, now you could give her COVID. Okay, my grandmother could be in the grocery store, and because you went to the Black Lives Matter vigil, now maybe you'll give her COVID. Was it worth it? Oh, but it was a good cause for me. Okay, the people that were at the fair thought it was a good cause for them. Who are you to say otherwise? I can't do anything about the microphone. Sorry. I'll lower it one more time. You guys will have to let me know if you could hear me now at all. I don't know why it's doing this today. It shouldn't be. But, is there something else going on? All right. So let me know if that's good with the mic. That's the last time. So that's what's going on there. Now, another point that I want to make. There were two things that we were told. This mask, remember, we've been misled over and over, or the goalposts have changed over and over. Remember, it was 15 days to... Yeah, that's what I thought. Now no one could hear me. So, yeah, catch you later, Abaddon. It was 15 days to stop the spread, right? Remember that? 15 days to stop the spread? I remember that. Then it switched to, well, we got to flatten the curve. Remember what flatten the curve means. Flatten the curve didn't mean less people would get the disease. It meant they would get it over time. So the same people would get the disease. It's just we were concerned that we would overwhelm hospitals. The hospitals overwhelmed in Clarion County? I didn't see that. How many people have died in Clarion County? Not many. So if the argument was flatten the curve, okay. Well, the curve's been flattened. And then even if we're taking that measure of it, we would say the curve has been flattened. Now, if a lot of COVID cases come, then maybe we shut down things like the Clarion County Fair. But that's not the case right now. What are we going to do? Keep people locked down forever? What if the vaccine that takes 5 years to come? Which I'm not going to trust the vaccine anyways, but what if it takes 5 years? What, we just lock down? No gatherings? Just your Black Lives Matter gatherings. Just the Democrat gatherings, right? They're allowed. Everything else, though. Yeah, I'll start posting on BitChute as well. But here's the thing. We were told basically there were two things. So we've been misled, and the goalposts keep changing. But we had to social distance. We had to lockdown. We couldn't go to funerals, etc., etc., etc. John Lewis's funeral, you could attend. Your parents' funeral, you can't attend. You get it? Democrat can attend. Anything else, just you, regular peon, that's not a person of power, screw you. You can't do your normal life things. That's what they believe. Right? Okay, fine. So let's roll with it there. They said two things. Now, social distance, you have to social distance, and masks. The mask, as Dr. Fauci said the other day, is secondary to the social distancing. In other words, you should socially distance, but if you can't, then you should wear a mask. So that means that your argument, these people that are arguing, well, Black Lives Matter was okay. Those protests were okay, but the Demo Derby, the Clarion County Fair, not okay. You violated the most important, according to medical science, according to the same experts you say to trust, you violated the most important rule, the thing that would help us the most against COVID, which was socially distance. You violated that. So your argument is, I can choose to arbitrarily break the most important way that I could stop the spread of COVID. I can arbitrarily break that as long as I do the secondary thing, wear a mask. No medical science. Please, someone link me the article. It's true. Not one piece of medical science that I've seen or studied says that masks are 100% effectual. So you made the choice based on what you wanted to personally do, based out of selfish reasons. You made the choice whether to attend Black Lives Matter stuff or to support people attending it. That was your personal choice when you knew by some degree that increased the chance of spreading COVID. And so your argument is, oh, other people are selfish if they didn't wear a mask or if they gathered at an event that I don't approve of. But when people I like gather at events I did approve of, if they wore the mask, then that's perfectly fine. It's okay for us to go against science and to possibly spread COVID. It's okay for us to do it because we're great moral people. But I'm going to make fun of other people or insult other people if they didn't do things exactly the way I want. If masks are so effectual, then can we all agree to end the lockdowns immediately? All of my friends' businesses around this area that shut down and maybe never open again? Can we tell them, hey, you could open now? It's just a mask. As long as you have a mask, you can't get the disease. Can we say that? It's just nonsense. Here's the thing. You might agree or disagree on masks. Whatever. Don't get on a moral high horse unless you're sure that you're not violating the same things you're criticizing other people for. If you say we have to listen to the doctors and everything they say, and then you're endorsing allowing some gatherings because you approve of them, you're a hypocrite. You have no right. Only the person who is against all gatherings has a right to say, I morally am outraged because people are gathering. You do not have the right to say, well, I disregard some of the science. I think that some gatherings are worth it. But the people that disregard more of the science and say, oh, we think some gatherings are worth it and we don't want to wear masks, they're horrible, terrible people. Now let me address the people that are saying, I hope that a bunch of people get COVID and die. You are ghoulish, terrible, horrible people. I will not reciprocate by saying that I hope that you suffer in that way. Because I'm not an immoral person like you. It's always these people that claim moral superiority that when the mask comes down show you to be some of the most immoral, worthless, scumbag people you can imagine. So shame on anyone who said that or allowed people to say that. Now, one of the arguments that you hear people say that went to the fair would be something like this. If you're worried about the virus spreading there, then don't go to the fair. And they'll say, oh, no, it's not that simple because I didn't go to the fair, but then maybe because you went there, now you caught the virus. So when we're at Walmart together, then I'll catch the virus from you and then spread it to someone else. Okay, the same could be true of anywhere. For example, how many trips have you made to Walmart? More than necessary? How many people were with you? Did you go yourself? No, you went when it was convenient for you, as did hundreds of other people in this town and county. I would be willing to say that the majority of people at the Clarion County Demolition Derby probably were shopping at the Clarion Walmart at some point as well. Which means if someone had COVID there was probably a good chance that they were going to spread it to other people anyways. And so who are you to cast stones? If you're that worried about the virus, then don't go out. Oh, but I have to. I have to go out for some of my necessities. Oh, now we see if it's something you have to do, then you should be allowed to go out. But other people that lost their jobs, they're scumbags, they're cowards, right, Tom Wolf? When you have to, just like the mayor of Chicago, you can't go out and get your hair done, but then after she made that order, she was seen at a salon getting her hair done. She said, of course I did. I care about my hygiene. Oh, okay, we get it. So if it's important to you, you can go out and make unnecessary trips to, stores or restaurants or whatever. Now let's get right down to the meat of it, all right? In addition to all of this, at face value, the claim that's being made, the criticism is, if you went to this fair, if you gathered, and especially if you weren't wearing a mask, then you don't care about other people and you endangered other members of the community. I could tell you that at least a dozen people whose names I saw on the Facebook thread I was reading that were saying that about people, I personally witnessed either drink and drive or text and drive. Personally. Now, every study will show you your chance, particularly in Clarion County, of dying from a drunk driver accident or someone distracted driving is way higher than dying of COVID. So the fact that these people are going to pretend that they're are some morally righteous people. Oh, I'm concerned. I would never jeopardize the community, unlike you scumbags. Now let me get another beer and get behind the wheel of a car. How dare you? And you know who you are. Have I done crappy things in my life? Absolutely. Have I done things that would endanger people? Yes. I'm not going to tell you I've never texted drive or anything like that. I'm not saying that. But I'm not the one out there making moral proclamations that people that don't agree with me are horrible, inferior people because they're jeopardizing the community. So if you're going to start playing that game, then why don't you look in the mirror and see who you truly are? Just like with the Me Too movement, the exact same crap I saw. Oh, Trump said grab him by the P word. Can you believe Trump said grab him by the P word? I'm watching people I know say this. It's like, dude, I've personally heard you say worse. I personally watched you go home with the girl that was almost blackout drunk. But you get in your high horse. You pretend that we don't know that. Arrogant hypocrites. I'm not saying everyone doing that. I haven't seen everyone. Maybe they're legitimately people. You smoke? What about that secondhand smoke? Where's your thought for the community with that? Maybe maybe you like smoking weed. You ever think that people, myself, people might have had lung issues? Didn't care, did you? Hey, if you don't like it, go away. I'm smoking. It's different then, right? It's different. Working in the fast food industry, serving high cholesterol food for people. Heart disease is more of a threat to you than COVID. You had no problem taking part in that. You said, hey man, if people choose to eat this fatty food, that's not my responsibility, that's their responsibility. Yeah, you were right. Now you're going to judge other people, right? Please. We know what this is. We know. I can talk to you and you can say I'm wrong about how this is all political maneuvering by people that want to destroy this country. Fine. We won't even touch that part of it. I know why the majority of you people that I know are posting on Facebook, though. Because you're virtue signaling. You think you're brave. You're not. You're a coward. Because if you were brave, you would have been out there when Tom Wolf was marching with Black Lives Matter. You would have been out there when there was the vigil in Clarion saying, these people are gathering and they're violating social distance orders. They're going to spread the virus. That's what you would have put on Facebook. But guess what? All your cool left-wing friends, they wouldn't like that, would they? So you kept your mouth shut. And in many cases, you actually went to those protests. That's what you did. And here's the final thing I'll say about this. I don't care. I had the same argument earlier with people on Facebook. You want to say that you have white privilege? You want to say that you personally have benefited because of your skin color? Or you feel guilty because of your skin color? Go right ahead. I don't care. Not my business. I think you're a hypocrite. If you say you've benefited from your skin color and you're not giving up your home and your wealth and your cars and all of your toys and computers and stuff, if you've got that through ill-gotten means because you truly believe the only reason you have that's because you're white, then you should give it up. And if you're unwilling to give it up, you're a hypocrite. But fine, that's your business. I don't care. But I despise people that are going to talk trash about the area they grew up in. Now, if you want to talk trash and say economically it sucks and there's not a lot of opportunity for people and things like that, yeah, more power to you. I say the same things. But when you're going to denigrate the entire people of this region, no one's keeping you here, man. Go to the paradise you want. Head to Minneapolis. Head to Philly. Head to Pittsburgh, right? They're so great. You're worried about getting COVID here, right? You're really worried about COVID here because a bunch of people went to a demo derby. I'm sure you'll be much safer in Philly. Go ahead, go to Philly. You think the riots are all peaceful, right? There's no riots. What are you talking about? It's all peaceful. Move to Philly. You don't like the cops? Hey, they're defunding them. You'll be great there. Go ahead. See ya. I've watched people. Are there terrible people in this community? Of course there are. Just like any community. I've seen some of the greatest people on both sides of the aisle in this community helping other people out. Coming together as a community when things happen. I've seen that. I've watched this area of the world go through incredible economic frustrations and devastations. And it's going to get worse, by the way. All of you people, some of you I know are business owners. You're out there posting about this stuff. Let me just give you a quick story. Clarion University, I personally know that there were professors at Clarion University that are super into Black Lives Matter, super into lockdowns because of COVID. Well, now latest I heard they're laying off 60 professors from Clarion University. Good job. I'm not saying if you're for the mask, you're for the lockdown, but many of them happen to be. So when you're out of a job, they say, for example, here's something they say, and I've yet to hear anyone say this or give an accurate response to this. If your argument is, well, if you want to go to the Clarion County Fair and you get COVID, you shouldn't be allowed to get treated because that was your stupidity and you're taking up medical resources from other people. Okay, fair enough. I'll sign that deal as long as you sign the deal that if you're against being allowed to go to things like that and for the lockdown, that you won't take any economic help ever from the government. Deal? So send back that stimulus check. Right? I was concerned about the economy and our freedoms. So if your argument is, oh, you're concerned about the economy and freedoms, therefore you shouldn't be allowed to get COVID care. Fair enough. If you're only concerned about COVID and think that it's wrong to be concerned about the economy and your freedoms, then you shouldn't be allowed to criticize or get help on those fronts. So don't complain when your First Amendment's taken away. Don't complain when you're broke. The government's not going to help you. We don't want to hear it. You made your choice, right? Now, of course, I don't believe that. But if you're callous enough to say that people that were there, if they end up getting COVID, that they shouldn't be treated, why shouldn't you be held to the same standard? The people whose lives are going to be impacted, in some cases, will die because of the economic devastation that we're about to see that will go on for the next decade, because of the policies you endorsed, like these lockdown policies, is going to far outweigh the people that died of COVID, particularly in this state and in this county. So I don't want to hear your sob story 3 years from now when COVID's a distant memory and the town's dead because all these businesses shuttered during the lockdown and now there's no money coming through the town. I don't want to hear your sob story. Oh, well, this is Trump's fault. This is Republicans' fault. No, it's your fault. It's people like you that was willing to give up your rights because it was the popular thing to do and people in Hollywood and academia told you. I don't want to hear it. Jeff, there's nothing I can do about the mic. I've been working on it. Maybe I'll back the mic up a little. Is that better? All right, we'll back it up. I'll slide back a little. There we go. But that's what I see. Denigrating your family name or your hometown. For what? And I'm telling you, it's ironic. I would never say people's names on here. I won't. I know some of the people, some of the terrible, horrible things of the people that I know, that I've witnessed with my own eyes, with some of these people. And by the way, it's not my friends. So if you're on there and you're like, I'm one of Rob's friends that's on the left, I can't believe he's saying this about me. I'm not saying you. It's people that I'm just acquaintances of. But I used to be a bartender, so I've seen some terrible things people do. And now to watch them with their moral superiority, it's laughable. It's laughable. And you're going to sit there and pretend, oh, this is why, economic devastation and blah, 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 blah. You don't know. You don't know anything. You're just a sheep. When the CDC said not to wear a mask, you'd have been like, don't wear a mask, don't wear a mask. Then when they say wear a mask, you're like, oh, you have to wear a mask. If the CDC came out tomorrow, if Dr. Fauci came out and said, actually, we're finding out that what happens is the masks are actually causing more COVID because the COVID virus is so small, it's able to get through the mask. But what happens with the normal body is when you're breathing out, you're expelling a lot of that virus, so only a small percentage of it's only getting in you. So you only have a less percent to get the virus. But when you have the mask, when you expel that air, you're rebreathing it back in, which means you're rebreathing that virus in over and over again. So actually, COVID causes more viruses. These people would be out there tomorrow going, damn, everyone wearing a mask. Look at what you've done. That's how stupid these people are. And again, I'm someone who wears the mask almost all the time when I'm out in public. You're listening to medical advice from people who said, you know what we should do to protect COVID people in nursing homes? Let's lock other people with COVID in the nursing homes with them. That's the people you're listening to. The same people that said COVID's bad, it could kill millions of us, so people can't go to funerals or to their jobs or to church, but you can go out by the hundreds of thousands and protest for Black Lives Matter. The same people that are saying, hey, we have to end science, technology, engineering, and mathematics because it's white supremacy. Those are the experts you're listening to. Now, I'm not saying that I'm definitely right and you're wrong. I don't know about masks. But the fact that you just repeat some expert you heard on CNN and you think that makes you some sort of genius is laughable. Especially when you're engaged in the same sort of hypocrisy they are. And then you have the nerve that the icing on top of all of it is you have the nerve to denigrate entire communities of people because you think you're morally superior to them. It's a joke. Unbelievable. So, I apologize that I had audio issues through this. I'm going to try to get this up on Facebook, so if you're watching on Facebook, again, let me say, the way I started this. Now, if you're one of the people that are my friends that I personally know that have said this, I don't hate you. I'm not going to not hang out with you. You might think I'm stupid and an idiot and I'm dangerous to people. That's what I think about you. But I'll still hang out with you. I'll still be friends with you. It's not worth losing personal relationships. It's not. But I just ask you, why are you allowing yourself, anytime you say, here's a rule, but I'm allowed to break the rule under certain circumstances, you better have a damn good reason. Because you're probably being a hypocrite. And so when it was okay for you to support Black Lives Matter protests, which violated the social distancing orders, but it's horrible and immoral for people to go to the county fair, you might want to think, does that make sense? Does that logically consistent? Because it's not. Now, if you're one of the rare people that was against the protest and against the fair, kudos to you. I disagree with you, but fair enough. You have a choice. Don't go out. Stay in your home. There, that's your choice. Tell your loved ones the same. There. And if you're right, then all the people that went out and endangered themselves, they'll be the ones to pay the price. You'll be perfectly fine. You go ahead and stay indoors for 4 years. Okay? That's fine by me. I'll still talk to you online. Hopefully you can still afford to pay your bills, because apparently you won't be working, but that's what my frustration is. I'm sick and tired of this attitude. Yeah, are there people that are not as highly educated in my county, a poor rural county in Pennsylvania? Are there people that aren't as highly educated as other areas around the country? Sure. So, some of the dumbest people I know have obtained the highest degrees of education. And some of the smartest people I know could barely read a book, but they could change your engine or transmission like that. And guess what? Those people you make fun of? Guess who you go crawling to when your car breaks down? When your plumbing doesn't work? Those same people that you mock and call racist and stupid, those are the people that you rely on so you can sit in your high horse. And it's one of the things that aggravates me more than anything else in this world. How dare you, the people that make this country run, that you're going to sit there and mock them like you're somehow superior to them. The only reason you could do your worthless job is because of people like them. You want to talk about institutional bigotry? Name me one institution that's stuck up for these people in 50 years. Yet you get your cool points by going online and bashing them. When it took real bravery to bash Black Lives Matter or these other protesters, you kept your damn mouth shut, didn't you? And now you act like you're so cool and brave. You're pathetic. So to each one of you out there, I don't hate you. You can call me. We'll still, when you feel it's safe to come out, we'll hang out and have a beer, okay? I really mean that. I know I get passionate and I yell about this stuff, but it really does tick me off. And the last thing I'll say is, if you think that those people are dumb, if you think those people are dangerous that went to that county fair and they're going to spread this virus, remember this. You know who's really to blame? The leaders and the experts that engaged in hypocrisy and didn't follow their own orders. I went to church. I told this story the other day to a friend of mine. I went to church when I was growing up, to this church, and I listened to music. I had like these mix CDs that I used to make back in the day. This is like the 90s, mid-90s. And, it had like Black Sabbath or AC/DC or The Doors or whatever on it. And I was listening to it one day at this, like, it wasn't at church, but it was like at a youth group thing. And I had this person that was like a youth pastor or something. I can't remember what his position was, but an adult in the church that was trying to mentor me about church. And he said that this music was my false idol and you could have no gods before God. And I spent too much time with the music and that was kind of God to me above God. And so I needed to get rid of that music. And he said, for me, it was tobacco. I used to chew and smoke and I realized that that was my idol and I had to give that up for God. For Jesus. I'm impressionable. I'm like 13, 14, like, okay. Well, that gentleman gave me a ride home, right? So I'm listening to him and I'm like, I don't know about this, but he seems honest. He seems earnest, right, with this. We get in the car and he gives me a ride home and he starts talking to me like, what do you think how the Steelers going to look this year? And he puts a big old rip in, a Kopi. Now, even 13-year-old me, I looked at that and said, ha. So if you're telling me to live my life one way, and then you're lying to me, and you're living your life in the very way that you say is immoral, I don't believe you. That's what our governor did. That's what Tom Wolf did. That's what Fauci did. That's what all of the CDC people did. So I don't believe them. Now, does that mean they're automatically wrong? No. But when I see Dr. Fauci say, yeah, sorry, I had to lie to you about masks. Yeah, the state we need to emulate that did it right is New York. The one with the second highest per capita deaths. That's the state we should be emulating. Then I don't believe him. Oh, yeah, for those of you that don't know what a big old rip and chew, tobacco. That's colloquial for put a chew in. So he's telling me you have to give up music because that's a false god to you, just like I had to give up tobacco, and then he's putting a chew in. I didn't believe him. So it's those leaders' fault for engaging in hypocrisy, why those people don't believe. And you talk to people, and I personally told people, they're like, COVID, I don't believe any of it. And I'm like, oh no, it's a real virus. You don't want to get it. You don't want your loved one to get it. Now, if you're 18 or younger, the regular flu is more deadly and more infectious to you than COVID. But particularly if you have comorbidity, it's a serious thing. It is. But you can't blame people. When you're lied to blatantly by the people in charge, you can't blame them for being skeptical. But you, the one that's sitting there calling them out, you didn't call out Tom Wolf, did you? You didn't call out Black Lives Matter. You encouraged the hypocrisy. And then, when people don't listen to you, you say, oh, they must be stupid. Maybe you shouldn't have been a hypocrite. Maybe that was the start of the problem. That's what aggravates me. So, alrighty. I think my wife's made dinner, so I should probably go check that out. But, yeah, all of you that aren't from the local area, I'll put this video up on Facebook. I'm probably not going to edit it. I apologize for the sound issues. Hopefully they got better. I think maybe my mic got adjusted and it was just too close to me and I didn't think to adjust it. So hopefully it'll be better. To those of you that are from the area, again, you want to reach out to me and talk to me. If you're friends of mine, you know how to reach me. You want to come on the channel and say your piece on it? Fine. I think that it's terrible that there were people making personal insults to you that had nothing to do with the issue. That's stupid. There were people on both sides doing that. But I gave my honest opinion of it. And if you think that I'm stupid or uneducated, I'd be more than willing to have a discussion with you anytime. So, all right. Thanks so much, everyone. I'll probably do a live stream tomorrow night. You guys are the best crowd. Thank you for being here. Sorry for the audio issues. And I apologize if you think that maybe this wasn't that interesting because it's more of a local story. But this story is happening in small towns and counties all across the country. This is how we're being divided. So I think it's really important. So thank you so much, everyone. As always, have a good one.